Hello and welcome to Materia Medica Mondays. My name is Nicole Telkish. I am the director and founder of the Wildflower School of Botanical Medicine, and I am doing a series on Mondays, Materia Medica Mondays, and sharing with you some of the wisdom of the plants and some of the relationships I've formed with them that I think you may want to learn about or be interested in for yourself. So, mullein is the plant of the week. We're going to talk about Miss Mullein. Mullein is a very common, weedy, invasive species of our green plant allies, and there's other species besides Verbascum thaspis, but that's the most well known. That's the Latin binomial for it, Verbascum thaspis. And it's in a family that is known for its anti-inflammatory properties. So that's the first thing I want you to think of. It's a very soft plant. You can see maybe if I put this closer, there's just little tiny hairs all over the leaves, and it feels very, very soft to the touch. So this is something that's found most areas of the world. So you'll find this in the deserts of the Sonoran Desert. I found it in the low elevations. I found it up in high elevations of the Rocky Mountains. I found it on the prairies of central Texas. So this plant grows all over the place, and she's very, very common. There are some lookalikes. So one of the things I always want to kind of not really popularize is the idea of running out and picking wild plants unless you know what you're doing. You can hurt yourself or others. So always consult with a trained herbalist before you decide to run outside and forage. I know it's really popular, but it takes a little bit of understanding of plant relationships and identification. So this plant, which we do teach, by the way, this plant happens to come out at different times of the year. One of the things to know about it is that it's a biennial. Biennials are plants that have vegetative growth one season and then flowers the next season, or reproductive growth the next season. For many parts of the country, that means 2 years. What we have in the deep south is that this will sometimes form vegetative growth and then flower in the same year. So it's a little bit of a short-lived biennial, if that, or maybe live a year and a half. It really depends. But within 2 years, this plant will die. So the first time that it shows growth, it'll be mostly vegetative, and that's when people oftentimes will gather some of the leaves, the soft leaves, and then at other times when there's flowers, you might gather the flowers. All parts of the plant are useful. So whether you're using the root, the leaves, the flowers, all parts are anti-inflammatory. And another action that they tend to have is something called tonifying, especially the leaves. The leaves are the most tonifying of the plant. So in Western herbal medicine, tonifying relates to the tonic effect that the plant has on mucosa. So that means on your skin and delicate mucosa internally. It helps to bring together the skin better. So it binds together the proteins on a cell's surface, and then you get this astringent tonic effect from the plant. So this is particularly useful for respiratory infections, any kind of phlegm that's lodged in the lungs. Because if you think about it, it's relaxing. The plant is very relaxing, and then it's also helping to tonify the mucosa. So that means that if anything's stuck, you'll also find that it has a bit of an expectorant effect on the body. So you'll take it, you'll maybe drink a tea, and then the tea will help to tonify your respiratory tract as well as help with getting any sort of phlegm or relaxing any coughing or spasming. So you can imagine this is a pretty great plant to have in your herbal remedy cabinet. It's something you can put into a syrup form. Some people will do a syrup. Some people will do a tea. Some people will do a tincture. I prefer it in a syrup. I like to make a homemade syrup, which we definitely teach as well. And this is something that you can use with other herbs or alone. I most often will have somebody who has regular respiratory issues drink this on a consistent basis. So it can help to relax and kind of tonify the lungs and the bronchioles and all of the parts of the respiratory tract. So this is also used in other systems of the body. And I think as a holistic herbalist, you have to realize for us that the plant doesn't just have one use. It's not just for a cough. We actually use this for the whole body in different ways. So in this particular version of Materia Medica Monday, we're going to focus on its respiratory uses. But just know that this plant, when you form relationship with it, you'll find it has all sorts of other ways that we can not just use it, but be in relationship with it. So many virtues, the many virtues of mullein. As far as its energetics, it's known to be both drying by some and then moistening by others. I see it both ways, mostly drying. I find it to be a little bit more drying. But as far as hot or cold, humorally, pretty neutral when I've done provings with it. And it's something that, if anything, tends towards cooling a little bit. So I like to kind of combine it with things like ginger if I need more warmth. So this is a nice basic plant to start with if you want to start forming relationship and watching it. And I will have some pictures in the surrounding resources for this post so you can look at how it looks when it's out in the wild. And again, I think that it's probably best to try to grow this and get some starts from people and see if you can't get it going pretty well. So it's seeds all over the place. And do remember, if you harvest, the leaves should not be harvested when it's in flower necessarily, because most of the vitality is going to the flower. Or if you're trying to get some of the energy from the root, I wouldn't be gathering it when it's flowering because all its energy is going out to the flowers. If you're trying to get different parts of the plant, you have to think about where the vitality of the plant is and where it's focusing its energy. So when it's not reproducing is when you would want to go more for the leaves and or underground parts. And make sure you've properly identified your plants and have fun with them, learn from them. And I wish you the best of health. Be well. And if you want more information, you can always look at our surrounding resources with this video. And I hope it helps.